Hello and welcome back to Around the Block with GoodBlock. My name is Erica here, hosting today's episode along with Douglas, and we are going to be talking today with Rush Bardolia about his Teland-style NFT project that's providing food security to a small village in Ghana. We're super excited to talk with Rush today. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Douglas?
Yeah, you and I met him in Davos, where he was trying to get the UN to build this kind of pilot program. It's super appropriate for Telos. It's brings food security, which is going to be a big issue in 2022, 2023. We pretty much know it's going to bring better economics. And essentially, it allows anyone on Telos or user who comes to Telos for this for $50 buy an NFT that represents a little over 1,000 square feet of land. There's 50 acres divided into 2,000 NFTs, and Telos Grants has already come in, and some Telos investors, and now we're hoping that Telos Works will bring them $14,000 to set everything up for the retail sale, which is where most of these will be sold.
Yeah, and that upfront funds were really important because funding for farming projects is really, front heavy and like, of course, and really hard to get specifically in Ghana as well. So we're very
all around
excited.
the world.
Yeah, right. So we're very excited to talk to Rush in a moment. But first, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you can learn when we have more videos coming out. All right, so now it is time to bring in our guest. This is Rushank Bardolia. Did I pronounce your name right, Rush?
It's perfect. Rush is better, but you can call me Rushank Bardolia.
You got it. All right. So let's kind of dive right in here. Can you tell us a little bit about GreenEarth Agro and how you got started doing that?
So GreenEarth Agro is a sustainable agro-processing company which produces sustainable palm oil. I am sure few people are already questioning how can palm oil and sustainability be mentioned in the same line. So I will not get into the details of how good or bad the palm is, but I'm saying that palm has been with human beings for millennia. It's only last 30 years that it's so bad, right? So it's not palm which is to be blamed. It's human beings who have cut the forest that needs to be blamed. So sustainable palm oil is what I make, and there has to be a space for that.
Hey, Rush, I'm really glad you're here and can talk about GreenEarth Agro. To me, it's a very exciting project. And you had to win me over, especially on the palm oil thing. So we're going to get to that in a second. But what's starting out on Telos is more than just palm oil, right? It's actual a number of kinds of food and crops, vegetables, corn. Yeah. Oranges, things like that are on this 50-acre plot that was sort of a brushy grassland that you cleared and found a lot of existing trees, including some bearing palm trees already, right, that you kept. But generally, this first one is for corn and other foods. And can you talk a little bit about that and what it's going to be like and an update on how you're going to divide up that land?
Yes, indeed. From the very beginning, when I started palm, I wanted to make every kind of food commodities what was growing there. The reason I did palm was because it was the most difficult crop when it comes to sustainability point of view. So I wanted to do most difficult, and then everything else becomes super easy. If I prove to the world that I can make sustainable palm oil, it's very little proving to be done next. So coming to this project directly is, I noticed since last few years that there is huge shortage of food in Africa, right? So the idea which we discussed initially was I take this plot of land and start growing palm. Palm takes 3 years to show that there is something tangible coming out of it. So we decided that let's start with corn. So we took that 50 acres of land, started doing corn. And to our surprise, when we were planting corn, we realized that there is 10 acres of oranges which we found. There were some bamboos which we found. There were some palm trees which we found. So what we realized when we were doing this, that not exactly, but very in approximation, we have around 50 acres of land. 30 acres will be used to do corn. 10 acres, we will keep the trees and the plants which are there where majority is orange. And 10 acres, there is uneven land. And we will grow all sorts of vegetables which are local to there. We are thinking of growing tomatoes, aubergine, right? These are the two things which we really want to grow. And good thing is I have few friends in Ghana who have supermarkets and they will buy all our products immediately. So selling is not a problem, growing is not a problem, and now I assume NFTs are not a problem.
Yeah, we are helping you with that, and it's not going to be a problem, and neither is the
Definitely.
network, because Telos is taking care of that, and that will never be a problem. So
Yeah.
very excited about that, and it totally makes sense, right? Because you don't know what that land's going to be like until you
Yeah.
get down and look at it. And I think as you do larger and larger ones, right? So this is starting with a 50-acre pilot, and then it's going to go up to 1,000 acres, right? But then you also have 2 more 1,000-acre plots, and ultimately the plan is to get it to 5,000 hectares, which is
Yeah.
12,500 acres.
And
And there's going to be spots on that land that's not all that can't all be planted in whatever you think, right? It's just not for whatever reason. But there's other things you could do. You could put solar farms on there. You could keep any existing forest land because it's illegal for you to cut down the forest. You could keep that and get energy credits and carbon credits. I mean, so there's a lot of ways to use this land, and you will have to roll with the punches a little bit, right?
yes, and one thing which I wanted to emphasize on the fact is I want to start with Ghana. It's not my only and final destination. My origins are from India, and I want to somehow take this project back to India as well. So, what eventual goal, I don't know how will I reach, when will I reach, but the eventual goal is to give people access to money, train people to develop land. So people can come with their own land, do it on their own, and they will never need a GreenEarth Agro or Rush to do this.
Right. And what we want to do on Telos, because there's already Tel Land on Telos in Peru that has already grown and brought in a commercial partner, and now it's Tel Land Gold. And we want to show that with Telland Gold and with GreenEarth Agro and maybe a couple others, we want to prove that this is a way to solve a real problem. And the problem is really the problem that you said to me some time ago, which was the biggest problem. No one has a problem farming in Africa. There's plenty of land, there's water, especially in West Africa. The problem is getting the funding for farming, right?
I was speaking to the bank, and they showed me that
Uh-huh.
the interest rate was 34%. Can you believe 34% interest rate? How can someone
So for any kind of farming loan or something like that?
any kind of loan? First of all, they will not even get a loan, right? You need to put 200% mortgage. Like you need to cover like your assets with more than 200%, and the money which
Right.
they will give you will be at 34%. So coming to the point, and I wanted to insist for the audience to know that there is no access to money in Africa, right? Very few people have access to money. Everyone knows that there is gold in that land, but they don't have money to have the drillers to get the gold. So what I want to partner, and this is the conversation we had on the first day we met, that let's give access to smallholders, access to finance where we can create some kind of a tokenization product. We didn't know back then when we were in Davos that we will come to this point. It could have been coins, it could have been
Yeah,
anything.
we thought of a lot of ways to
We
do
thought
it. And
That's
we
great.
now
found this.
we are coming to this point. So you are solving one of the biggest problems which developing country is facing, is access to capital, right? There is another point to this, that there is a lot of rich people who actually want to invest in impact and they don't have direct access to impact. So we
Yeah.
want to bridge this gap through Telos, where people with money can invest in impact investment.
And know that their investment actually does something, right? I think that's a big part of the problem is so many people think they're doing something, the right thing, and they don't know that they're not. And how do they know that they're not, right?
Yes, and Another problem which this impact investment has is they have tickets of 500,000, 1 million, 2 million. So small people who want to do a smaller project cannot get hands to those, right? And I have been there seeing the projects. There are like, just imagine there is someone who has 500 acres of land and he can't do anything. That for me is a
Because he can't
punishable
finance anything
that for
extra.
me is a punishable offense for the world which we have created. Whoever
Yeah.
is in the order of the world, could be the president of the world or president of America or president of India or president of UAE, doesn't matter, but it is a failure from us that we don't allow people to, how do you say, to express themselves by blocking financial access for poor people and only allowing rich to access that.
And with the lack of access to capital, it means that the all the economies keep getting depressed, right? There's no way to claw your way out of poverty without that, which means that since there's no economics there in these areas, then there's no incentive to not cut down trees, right? If you've basically said we're not going to give you guys, like, there's no mechanism set up for these countries, whether it be Ghana or Cameroon or India or all, there's, like, I could spend the whole hour listing them, the countries that don't have access to capital and finance. If there's nothing there, then they can't. Then there's no, people still have to live, and so they're stuck. Doing illegal mining or dangerous mining, cutting down trees, doing all these things. People aren't cutting down trees because they hate trees. They're cutting down trees because they have no other way to try to live. And if you give them something else, like this, just this 50-acre plot is giving people full-time jobs, right? Those are people who now aren't going to be going out and having a reason to cut down the forest as it exists, because they have something better that they can do. Like, cutting down forests is like it's like what you do if you don't have access or skills or anything else. Like, it's all that's there. It's a resource that you can exploit, and that's what's happening. If we give people a better advantage, you create take that farmer who's got 500 acres of land but no capital to fund it. And make no mistake, farming is very capital intensive, especially up front.
Jinx.
Yeah. So you do that, then you give them no other chances, as opposed to creating the jobs, bringing in food. It solves so many problems, and it's so much, to me, it's so much better. I'm going to love so much the NFTs for Telland and Telland Gold and GreenEarth Agro way more than some monkey picture. Right? Like, all the things like that, like, if the main use for NFTs, one of the main uses is to show identity and show what you find important as a true signaler of what you that you're in the club, man, that's the better club I want to be in. Now, those are the people I want to hang out with. Somebody who has $50 and says, yeah, I'm going to use this to try to make an impact, right, along with a lot of other people, and also do pretty well, right?
Guys, I have a question for you, right?
Yeah.
I see people talking too much about SDGs and ESGs, right? And they say that we don't have a lot of time. We cannot blame people for cutting trees if they want food today, can we?
Right. That's what I was saying.
How
can you? Well, we do. Well, we can. Actually, you know what? We certainly can, because it's happening a lot. But it's happening because people don't want to actually understand the reality of the problems and the humanity of the people who have hungry children that they want to feed.
How do you say that my biggest takeaway from last 5 years living in Africa is we want to impose the first world rule in there. It's not going to work. They have different set of challenges, and the challenges here are different. If we impose if we define our sustainability standards of here, there, it is a standard which is achievable in few years. It is not attainable today. That is something which people should really keep in mind. You cannot have the rules which we consider standard here to be implemented in any of the developing countries.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you live in Luxembourg,
Yes, the
right? But
richest country in the
you're
world.
traveling.
The
What's
richest
that?
country in the world.
Yeah. And you're traveling and you're working in Ghana, which is probably one along one of the poorer per capita countries in the world, I would
Yeah.
guess. And yeah, that must be a culture shock.
Actually, to be honest, not, because I grew up in India. Yeah, so I have seen. I'm not saying that I come from poverty, nor am I saying that I come from how do you say, a
A
kingdom
wealthy
kind.
background.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I grew up in India. I know what it is to be in a developing country. Then I moved to Luxembourg, and it's so nice here. Everything is like a fairy tale. There is nothing literally which, it's the only country in the world where you don't even have to pay for transportation. It's free. You just take buses and you just travel, right? Or the trams or the trains,
But it's
everything
only
is.
like a mile wide anyway, so
No, it's around 40. Yeah. So
I'm kidding.
so so what I'm just saying is, it's so perfect in a sense here that I start when I go when I go travel to Africa. I've been to a lot of African countries, more than 20, 25 African countries, and that contrast is so different. And still, I see so much of happiness in that part of the world, right? There is little complaining, they're very content, right? But at the same time, I believe it's my obligation to kind of show them that there is more to get, right? I cannot change the whole world, but I change the very small part of the village which I live in, and I feel very happy and excited about bringing an impact to their lives. I don't know whether I have told you all or not, but I already have a computer center which I have sponsored. I have a football club which I sponsor. I think next year I'm gonna have Telos to give jerseys, so I will have all my guys wear a Telos jersey
Purple
in
jerseys.
in a village and play against each other. Right? I
And
can start.
you also built the medical clinic
I,
in
I
in
also
the in
build
the,
I
in the
also
village.
build the medical clinic. It is not a full-fledged clinic, but it, like, imagine a small instance. I say that there is a hospital in my district, but it's like 7 kilometers to go and come. It might take around $1, and a half. People don't have that dollar and a half. So my clinic gives you all the basic medicines. If there's something big, they need to go to the hospital, but it allows people to use the most basic medical facilities.
So and Rush, you and I were talking about ways to get internet to the village as well, so that we can actually start putting IoT devices and recording a lot of these things on the Telos blockchain, right?
Yes, yes. I do not have a clear idea how to do it, but you told me a few days back how to get it sorted out, and I will follow your lead on that one.
Awesome.
You kind of actually touched on this a little bit, I think, but what are some ways that projects like Green Earth can actually prove legitimacy to people who are interested in potentially investing in this kind of a project?
Just take a straight example of Green Earth Agro and the NFTs which we're gonna make, right? So when we have 50 acres of land that we will divide into around 2000 small NFT lands. So everyone who owns that NFT will own that equivalent piece of land. We will start inputting all the data from that piece of land. How many people worked on that land? How much water was given to that land? What kind of crop is going to grow on that land? What kind of um, how do you say, chemicals or not chemicals we have used? Every kind of information which is required will be a part of that land. Now, I don't know the technicalities, but somehow we need to include that onto the blockchain. I think that Telos will be a great place to include that. And that is the problem which I faced. People want to track and trace and prove the legitimacy, but the first mile information is the missing part. So
Right. And so how does Green Earth fix that?
As soon as I sell the NFT, we will know who owns that piece of land, and every part of anything which goes onto that land will be added to the database. So once the database is filled in, and we will make correct procedures so that we have checks on how we input the data. And once that data is inputted, blockchain, as we all know, is a very secure methodology where people cannot, how do you say, play with what's gone inside. And thus, once the first block is correctly set, we can have a very secure tracing and tracking methodology.
So your intention is, this is going to pay dividends or going to pay rewards every 6 months, twice a year at least. And so you're going to share. And once you've shared back, and once the first year is over, and people have a sizable amount of their original investment back, plus the NFT going forward, and they see the crops and they see all of that on the blockchain, it's going to be a lot easier to trust for future projects. But right now, nobody knows you. You have to understand the way that the crypto landscape is, where people will just disappear. Usually they don't put their face on there. They don't, they hide. But I think the crypto world has trained, NFT buyers to say, well, what's going to stop this guy from just taking our money and saying, thanks, suckers, and never sending the funds back.
I have a great answer to that one. What I want to really emphasize here is, if I wanted to take money and run away, I would have already asked for $1 million or $2 million to start with.
Yeah.
I asked for $30,000-$40,000. At $30,000, I can't even pay 1 year of rent in Luxembourg. If I run,
I wouldn't let you do $30,000. By the way, I said you need to ask for more because you have to have more.
But you see what I mean, right? I want to show that this is, how do you say, this is feasible. Once we show the proof of concept, then when we go for a larger round and we take larger money, I told you, we will create a very robust structure in a reputable jurisdiction, and we will do some kind of a partnership, and we will go and invest through that, right? So if someone is of the belief that I'm going to take $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and run away, I would rather not want to work with that kind of investor. But what I'm just saying is, my legitimacy is, I am not someone with a mask. I put my photo even on Telegram when everyone puts some kind of an NFT on it. My photo is there. I'm very well, how do you say, you can find me everywhere on internet. People know me in Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a small place. You cannot spoil your reputation in this place, right? If you don't pay if your credit card bounces on the gas station, everyone knows, right? So there is a lot of things at stake. So for such a small amount, it's not worth taking someone's money. But when I prove, and I will prove it so well that this is worth investing, the next round of money, we're going to do it through a proper financial structure, where even the land which we will eventually buy will be held by some structure where investors will be definitely a part of.
That's great. I would also say, when this brings in $80,000, it's brought in 30,000 something already, thanks to early investors and the Ignite grant, and we're hoping that will bring in another 14,000 from the Telos Works proposal that's going in. But you can, you're showing videos of people clearing the land. I believe you had to put in a road, in fact, to, and so there's like a proof of work there. Like you can show this, you can show people that work is being done. Obviously that has a cost. So it's not like there's anything left in
I'll send them oranges.
Anyway.
I'll send them oranges.
And then on the other side, you're going out, like you're speaking in a few days maybe the day this comes out, you'll be speaking at Luxembourg Blockchain
Week. Yeah.
So, and you have an opportunity. You've already advanced through several stages to have an opportunity at some pretty sizable grants, like twice as large as what you're seeking here.
Yeah, and
right?
I would my hope is I bring Telos to Luxembourg as well, and we can set up a Telos office in Luxembourg, where Luxembourg the ecosystem is very vibrant and encouraging and inviting to new technologies and new ecosystems. So I would really want like when we take our next step, there's a collaboration between Telos and GreenEarth Agro, and we set up an office in Luxembourg. So that is also something which I want to do.
So for people who are just tuning in, Rush seems to me to have a lot of connections around the world, and he's not shy about telling people about his project. So I think you're going to be a great ambassador to people we wouldn't otherwise be meeting, and you're also looking, as you've talked to me about, you're looking to not just sell this to people who are already these NFTs people are already involved in Telos. You're expecting to bring in a number of new people to Telos for this project.
And we've had a numerous number of conversations where we said that we need to make this such an easy thing that someone just brings in their credit card. I have enough people I know who, on my word, can put $50, right? So I just need them a platform where we say, hey guys, you always talk about sustainable investment. It's worth 3 cocktails which you buy. Just invest, and you will see that you will have fresher orange juices to make your cocktail soon. On a serious note, what I wanted to say, Doug, is yes, I do not want. It would be great if the Telos community buys these NFTs, but I want guidance of Telos to build the product. Selling is the easier part for me. It comes naturally to me. I can get people to buy these NFTs as long as we make a good product out of it, easy product out of it, and secure product out of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I understand, Telos is a chain which gives all these how do you say, properties, right? It is a good, secure, fast, easy using chain, and this is where we can collaborate really.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Telos also gets is one more great project in this vein, so that we can start bringing in, like you said, people all over the world to use the same form of funding their.
I don't want to overpromise. I want to underpromise and overdeliver. But one thing I wanted to emphasize for the audience is, I have shared with you, and later on I will share again, I have an MOU signed with the Ministry of Agriculture of Ghana, where they can give us or open doors to 30,000 farmers. Now here, I can reach out to them immediately, but the onus is on us to show why they should use Telos, right? They are very, how do you say, for them, it's all gibberish, right? Literally, even the people with a lot of financial knowledge, they don't understand. You don't expect a rural farmer to understand what a blockchain is, or for that matter, what even a bank is, right? So if we somehow understand the landscape, we create some kind of microfinancing institutions through an NFT, right? I can ensure the profit sharing, but I cannot talk about what the value of the art is going to be in future, right? I see this as more of a legal contract than an artwork.
Yeah. Well, we're not selling, and we're not including, we're not including artwork on there. I mean, there will be artwork, but it's not a unique artwork. It's not the reason that anyone would buy or hold or trade one of these NFTs. It's just because there's an expectation and it looks nice and things like that.
Yeah. If it happens, it's a great thing. We should not stop it from happening. But what we offer to the market is a legal contract to finance and gain profits. not
Right. This is another kind of NFT. This is a financial instrument NFT. We started that on Telos with T-bond NFTs. They were very, very useful. And that's what we're trying to build here. And what I want to build, the vision I have for this is that Telland and GreenEarth Agro and 25 other things in the next 2 years are using these all around the world. They're growing, and there's also a robust market for people who want to trade them, right? So maybe some people want to put all their money into a new one. Once it proves out, sell that, maximize their money, and put that into 5 more new ones. Some people will just want to buy and hold. Some people will want to wait until they know that something's going to be truly paying decent dividends, and then buy in at that point, right? All kinds of investors can be involved here, and that marketplace. And they can also say, well, I really like this one because it's returning a lot of money, or I like this one because they're using biodynamic farming practices like to the nth degree, and I really want to support that. There's a lot of reasons people will be involved in these. The more we have, the more of a marketplace there is, and then Telos is the place to go for this kind of investment, which is very much an emerging investment.
One thing which I wanted to mention was, they say that you can never catch a wave which is broken. You need to wait for the wave to come and catch it. Sooner or later, Africa will start using cryptocurrency. Sooner or later. Whoever is there at that point will take the advantage, right? It's not
and a lot of people are paying lip service to it. Like, Cardano, they're like, hey, look what we're doing in Africa. But I haven't actually, from when I talk to people who know what in technology in Africa, I haven't heard yet anybody tell me that it was actually anything meaningful. This would be meaningful. Like our stuff, Telos stuff is small, but it's very meaningful and it's out there, right? So Condo Weather is helping bring atmospheric data to West Africa. So there's better weather data, right? So there's better forecasts. That's a real thing. Bringing farming and bringing food to people and bringing jobs to people that that pay and are self-sustaining because they attract new funding from developed nations. That's real, right? Putting a bunch of stupid IoT device, whatever, just for the sake of it that doesn't actually do anything is not real. And that's not what we're doing.
With the money the angel investors and Ignite grant has given, since last 1 month, 30 people are having a full-time job. Only the 30,000 USD has created jobs for 30 people straight. That's all I want to say. This is real, right? We are not talking about something which is in the air, right? We are talking about people who are working, who are sweating, who are making an honest living. And just with such a small thing, if we can do that, imagine how much is the scope.
I think we have to wrap up with that. I could talk about this all day. You could talk about this all day. Together, we could talk about it all week. But
Rush, can you go ahead and tell us where we can find more info about your project? Where can people follow and learn about it?
I have my website, which will give a lot of information about my project. I have my Twitter page, and I have my Telegram channel, which I'm very new to Telegram. I was a WhatsApp person. Getting into the Telos ecosystem has got me to Telegram. So I have started a Telegram channel. So I will be broadcasting a lot of information on my Telegram channel. I will be updating my websites, and my Twitter page is going to be up and running. It's up and running. It's going to be more active. Let's put it like that.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time, Rush. Really appreciate it.
Yes. All right.
Thanks, Rush.
Thank you.
All right, so now it is time for Moss's Market Minute. This is our segment where Nathaniel has 60 seconds to give us this week's market news and non-financial advice. All right, Nathaniel, 3, 2, 1, go.
How's it going, everybody? So Ethereum has merged, and unfortunately, it seems like any news is causing everybody to sell, and Ethereum has not risen like a lot of people priced in as soon as it was merging. Actually, the entire rest of the market has been very hesitant over the last 7 days, with the majority of the market prices only fluctuating plus or minus 2%. We got some big winners like Uniswap has been up 10%, and Reserve Rights and Quaint and Maker, they've all been up 20%, but all the Luna coins have been down at least 10%. Kyber and Storage, they're also down 2%. So all in all, everybody's waiting. The market's very hesitant right now. So stay tuned for next week, and let's find out how long this hesitation's going to go. Just beware that in a lot of bull markets, the bears will come out.
All right, and that was an awesome market minute from Nathaniel. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. So up next, we are talking crypto BS, block stuff. So what do we have for our first piece of block stuff today, Douglas?
This has been a very stuffy week. Lots of stuff to bring out for people. So Solana is down again. Or what? It's down. And the problem was that one validator did an invalid block, and that caused everything to get stuck. And then the way they unstuck it wasn't by fixing the problem and bringing it back up, but they just basically said, oh, well, we'll roll back the chain to here and then restart it. And they is, I guess, the people who actually control Solana. There's not
everybody's transactions that happened after that. They just didn't happen anymore.
Transactions? They didn't happen anymore. If you're on a part that got rolled back, then they didn't happen. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Well, so another piece of BS that we found that happened this recently. Coinbase fixed a technical problem that temporarily halted payments and withdrawals from US ACH bank accounts. ACH is how auto withdrawals happen, if you're not familiar. And they fixed it, but they didn't tell anybody what happened. They just said, oops, sorry, it's not working. You can use a card. And then they said, hey, it's fixed. Yay.
Temporarily suspended. I had a Coinbase account for a long time, and I just, about the beginning of this year, I just stopped using it for anything because they made it so onerous. It made it impossible to KYC. Even if you tried, which I did. So I just really, really not happy with those guys, and it's really weird that as a publicly traded company, they would not have to disclose more than this. But they're not the worst, right?
Oh, what's the worst?
Well, one of our first Around the Blocks ever, we were talking about Celsius and people were going to file for bankruptcy and whatnot. And so apparently before Celsius filed for bankruptcy, there's a CoinDesk report saying that the CEO at the time withdrew $10 million of his own money from it, and before it went, he froze everybody else's ability to do so. So that's
insider trading.
Yeah. I mean, there's no good way to shake it. There's no good way to phrase that, right? So some people say, oh, well, these are things that he already had disclosed he was going to do, but that's not really exonerating for him. For example, he might have had that filed already and delayed shutting off everybody else's until he could get his out the door, right? Plus enough days to make it look like he didn't just sell and then shut it off the day after. Who knows? Who knows the truth here? No, I said he may have. I'm not accusing him of that. I'm just saying that's one of the possibilities that comes to mind. Yeah, I'm not accusing anyone of anything.
No, it's pretty wild though. So when they filed for bankruptcy, documents did reveal that they had a $1.2 billion hole in their balance sheet. So that is our BS for this week. Thank you for tuning in. There's a lot of BS this week. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification icon. We are also now on your favorite podcasting platforms. So if you prefer to listen to us on the go, we are now on Spotify, Apple Pods, Amazon, I think, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.